Hi, my name is Brian Manley, and I'm the author of The Man Who Sang Blockbuster. It's the biography of Brian Connolly and the Suite, and it came out last year, June 2009. And it's done wonderfully, and a few months after it arrived, I went to the studio and I recorded a talking version of it on 4 CDs. And that's done quite well, but not as rampantly successful as the book. So, in order to get it out there and to reach as many Suite fans as possible, myself, in conjunction with a lady called Christina Spielbauer in Germany, and her website, and a friend of hers on the website called Sweet Fanny Adams, we're each going to broadcast on YouTube a German version of the talking book and my version of the talking book. Not complete, it'll only be parts of it in installments for free, and if you like it, you can go to the website, what is my own website? somehitwonders.co.uk, and you can order a copy of the CD there. It contains an interview with Stevie Lang, who recorded some tracks on the album Level Headed back in the 1978 with the Suite, the final full Suite album, and she's a lovely lady, and there's a lovely, I think it's 6 or 7 minute interview on it there, so it's worth it just for that. Enjoy. We will begin almost immediately broadcasting. I'd like to once again say thank you to everybody in Germany, and everybody on all the German websites. There are a few German websites, and I think you're great. You really are terrific fans of the Suite. And my best wishes to Andy, my best wishes to Steve, and fond remembrances of Brian and Mick, and the lovely music that you made back then. That's why I wrote my book. Enjoy the talking version. If you want it in German, you'll be able to find it on YouTube, and I'm doing mine too. And I have to say, I'm duty bound to say just now, I've no idea how true the German version is, because I don't speak a word of German except Danke, but I trust these girls implicitly. I think they will do their utmost to reproduce the talking book, and from what I've seen so far, they've worked very hard on it, so thank you very much. And I'll stop blabbing, and I think I should start reading. Thanks. No Man Who Sang Blockbuster. Sean Bodie, The Man Who Sang Blockbuster by Brian Manley, published by Some Hit Wonders, 2009. I would like to express my thanks to the following, without whom there would be no Man Who Sang Blockbuster: Sean Bodie, Norman Duval, Maureen O'Grady, Cos Cimino, Stephen Barrett, Adrian Dalton, Simon Foster, Bob Foster, and Frank Torpey, Suite's original guitarist. My special thanks goes to Steve Priest, who answered every email and gave me permission to use his own biography as a research tool. The talking book of The Man Who Sang Blockbuster is narrated by Brian Manley, produced by Alan Bradshaw. The executive producer is Bob Foster. I have written this book about the Suite primarily to tell the story of Brian Connolly. It was, after all, he and Mick Tucker who formed the Suite some 40 years ago. To the general public, the Suite was Andy Scott, Mick Tucker, Steve Priest, and Brian Connolly. They sold tens of millions of records during the 1970s and were the forerunners to Queen. There have been many schisms, arguments, and declarations of war from within the ranks of the band, some for obvious reasons, some because of musical differences, and more still that seem to be steeped in jealousy and egotism. For many years now, the Suite has existed purely as the realm of Andy Scott, catering for the remaining fans, those who prefer Suite's heavy metal songbook. Andy earned a grand living in Germany and Scandinavia. Until recently, Steve Priest had not played as a member of the Suite for over a quarter of a century. Preferring life in Los Angeles to his native London, he has only a casual interest in the music business today. Suite's handsome drummer Mick Tucker died in 2002 following a long and brave battle with leukemia. What then of Brian Connolly, Suite's founding member and troubled star vocalist? His sorry tale has been told many times in the Sunday tabloid papers, each time bringing more inconsistencies and in some cases pure fabrication. There were times when he seemed to encourage the tabloids in their ill-researched pieces about his wretched circumstances, ill health, bankruptcy and fall from grace, but a drowning man will grab anything that keeps him afloat. In our youth, we all have idols from the popular culture around us. My idol was Brian Connolly. As a young lad, I would watch him slapping his thigh while performing on Top of the Pops. Golden hair blow-waved to perfection. His face made up with stars that glittered. I adored him. I wanted to be him. I considered him perfection personified. Imagine, if you can, a 10-year-old gay lad harbouring clandestine feelings for the rugby players he saw on the telly. In secret, I longed to be as flamboyantly gorgeous on the outside as I felt on the inside. Then one Thursday night, my world changed forever. A siren blasted out into 20 million homes across England, and ours was one of them. As an icon, he is not terribly well remembered today, but in his moment, he experienced fame bordering on superstardom. For those too young to have been there during Connolly's glam rock peak, I would offer the vision of Deborah Harry in the Heart of Glass video. Brian has few videos as such for MTV to show. He and Sweet flew around the world on a daily basis, making live TV appearances. On occasion, a producer would film him perfectly, as if in a pop video. When this happened, his presence was awesome. When a blonde bombshell explodes, the impact is inescapable. Some years later, in 1983, I met him and he broke my heart. Stumbling around in a nightclub, saying inappropriate things to a young fan, and finally being asked to leave. So drunk was he that he mistook my feelings for him as an idol and offered to give me one. I was young, blonde and rather pretty, so perhaps he mistook me for a girl. Most likely he simply didn't even know what he was doing. I was left in tears while he was carried out by his arms and legs, watched by his poor wife Marilyn. Within months he would suffer the infamous dozen heart attacks that would destroy his health forever. A while after the nightclub incident, I met Brian again at a record store in central London. He and two of the band were signing copies of their Greatest Hits LP. Out of all those hundreds of people, he recognised me. Even in that dreadful state a year earlier, he had a memory of me. It was a memorable night because of the drama caused, but not unusual in his world at the time. He looked at me, frowned, and said, "Have I met you before, somewhere before?" "Yes, Bailey's in Watford at a Susie Quattro gig," I said in a very guarded way. Extending both arms to me, he took hold of my hands, squeezed them for a moment, and with total conviction said, "I'm really sorry about that night. I've changed. I don't do things like that anymore, okay?" I was delighted. In AA, what he did was called a Step 9. Brian had by this time destroyed his career, his fortune, and more sadly, his voice.